pure mastery. I'm the head of my class, no cap for me. Uncouth, I'm pristine, I'm the truth, I'm a shame. True story, nigga, welcome to the factory. Yeah, team clap for me. I'm back, hold the applause into after, please. Fit the cow to the crowd, hit the tucks in the...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, the St. Louis Mix channel. You know, the one with the unofficial name. I promise, we still working on that. We're gonna officially stamp everything. I know I keep telling y'all that, y'all probably don't believe it, but it's coming. I promise. You know, we're just kind of figuring out this YouTube thing. But thanks for coming back to rock with us. Today we're doing a review on the latest quarantine battle that dropped. We had Drugz versus JC on the URL app. As always, man, cop the app, worth it. The battles have been fire, especially during this time. I mean, what else you got to do? Shit. I know a lot of people probably ain't working, so you ain't trying to spend that extra $8. So I understand that. But if you can, get the app, worth it. The battles have been very, very entertaining. It's been great still having some battle content while everything is shut down. So salute to Smack for that. So let's just get into it real quick, man. It's these quarantine battles are one-rounders, so. But I kind of like it. I kind of like that format. It's almost like a trial run of the software. Like, okay, try it out. Is this something you really want to see? And it's the battles that we've seen so far, I want to see 3 rounds of them. So except for the rare breed Ill Will versus T-Rex, I don't want to see that. That's a different subject. Anyway, so Drugz kicks it off. He opens up his first round. To me personally, a little bit of a slow start. Just kind of warming up into the verse, into the bars. But he starts off kind of giving JC props for his pen, but saying he has no authenticity. It's a very standard angle for JC. He said a bar like, I think it was Ill Will, you told Ill Will you leave a whole banana in the streets, and that's how Av caught you slipping. One of the fire bars to me from Drugz round, so it was kind of a slow start, but he started to heat up as he went through. One of the bars I really liked was he said he was talking about how JC despises any criticism coming in. He was like, well, my suggestion, box. And it was just the way he the way he set it up, the way he delivered the bar. My suggestion box, if you got tips or complaints, you drop your little comment in there. He said my suggestion box, that was fire. JC even acknowledged, he was like, oh yeah. And then he went into kind of some quarantine bars. He had some talking about some CDC bars, talking about bringing JC out to the district type vibes. He had some bars referencing him as a Muslim. He won't bow when he see JC. He had another bar that I thought was actually kind of slick how he put it together. He was saying JC gets that top tier gas, and it helps him control the crowd like a riot shield, like the whole little scheme, top tier gas, crowd control, riot shield. That was cool. And then he went into this whole thing talking about how JC and Rum linking up don't make any sense because they ain't even really cool like that. He was saying Rum and the Yak, you're not supposed to mix liquor. Then he went into this other part and he had this bar about, wait, Rum and Yak, I'm about to black out. Which is fire. Which, if anybody knows, if you got down at any point in your life and was a party or a drinking, you mix certain liquors together, bro, and it's good night. Like, deuces, you about to be completely unaware, wake up in the morning in places you don't want to be, next to motherfuckers you don't want to be with, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what's up. Anyway, so yeah, that was Drugz' first round. Overall, a very solid round. Some bars were better than I was expecting from him. Some dry spots, kind of a slow build up, but he ended strong. Good round from Drugz. JC starts off, and honestly, I kind of feel like he had a slow start as well, kind of easing into some of the more potent lyricism. He opens up with some. Anyway, let's get to that after the end. Okay, so he opens up with some like first 48 bars. Some Reaganomics bars, Drugz on them, like making some quarantine bars. Now, the one thing I will say with this little quarantine mini online event that they're doing, because obviously it's the quarantine, they're battling over the net. Okay, obviously there's gonna be some quarantine bars, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not complaining about that. It makes sense. It's current. It's something so pertinent right now that, like, yeah, talk about it. But just because we're getting this kind of streak of quarantine battles. Like everybody's putting them in the rounds, and like they're, to me personally, they're almost like they're already like getting kind of dry and stale. To me, like already overused, you know. So for me to like a quarantine bar, it's got to be something real creative or something I haven't heard before. And in the beginning, some of JC's quarantine bars just weren't that. Now he did have some that he used that I'll get to that were like that was nasty, but in the beginning, it just kind of a lot of bars I've heard before, especially with the Reaganomics stuff, some of the early quarantine stuff. He even had he had a familiar used type of bar, but it was the way he delivered it was very nice. He was talking about, smoking the blunts while he was writing the verses, and he was saying like I was smoking drugs while I was preparing to. And I know that's been said roughly before to Drugz. Just the way JC delivered it was nice. Like I said, I take points away when somebody says an overused bar to me or something that's been used a few times, but I will give credit for like creative remixing, so to speak. Then he had some moon bars that was, it wasn't bad. It was okay. He was talking about, have moon in the street, put you on your back last time. This moon I got same plan, and it was okay. But at this point, JC kind of turns up and he hits another gear, and he ends the verse on this ridiculous streak. And he starts hitting these, man. So he just starts kind of going in. I'll try not to say them all because again, I like to save some for when you actually watch the battle. But for those who don't have the app yet, try to make sure you include it. He had this bar where he was saying the doctor sold drugs through the hole in the side like an ice cream truck. Sold drugs through the hole in the side, talking about getting stitched up on the surgery or whatever. But bruh, it was crazy the way he delivered it, and that joint had impact. It almost looked like Drugz got punched in the stomach in real life. And he was like, oof. And then he had another bar where he was saying, I still got to get rid of drugs through the nets, the black market. Cold. And I'm just giving you the punchline. I'm not giving you the setup so that you can still like kind of enjoy the moment when it happens, when you see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to cheat y'all nothing, but I'm trying to like keep the experience somewhat genuine and exciting for whenever you do get to see the battle. So, but that bar was crazy. Then he was talking about running up in Drugz spot, and he said we touching everything before we leave like Rudy Gobert. Crazy. But then he had during this kind of like hot streak he was on, then he kind of had an overused bar again. He actually put a flush Drugz like a raid bar in there, which I don't know, for JC it's like, come on, bro. I mean, it is just a quarantine battle. It's a one round. And one thing I will have to say, they talk about afterwards, because Smack always does a little dual interview with them after the battle, and they only had 2 days prep for this. So I'm not going to be as harsh judging some of the bars as I would be in other battles, like 2 days prep. So with only 2 days prep, for them to deliver the kind of material that they did is phenomenal. And let me tell you right now, nobody choked, nobody really stumbled, or like, it was clean, flawless. 2 days prep. So salute to both of them for that, because I know that wasn't easy. Which kind of explains, some of JC's first 48 bars in the beginning. They had 2 days prep, but again, just because the first 48 theme has been used so much, it didn't quite have the same impact as it could have. But yeah, man, so JC ends the round pretty strong. Winners and losers. Okay, the important question. For me personally, okay, when I watched the battle live the first time, initial impression, after it was over, I was like, yo, JC got that. To me, it felt pretty definitive and clear. Now, he did have the benefit of going second, but going back and trying to watch it again, to be fair and analytical, there were just, maybe a few more overused bars that he used than like I maybe caught the first time around, but there was a few in there, It's just so weird because he had, it's just so much, the dichotomy of his verse is that there were moments that were super fire, and then there were moments that were just okay and beyond just okay were kind of like whack, like overused. You know what I mean? So it's kind of tough. Whereas Drugz, on the other hand, similarly, he took a second to warm up. I don't think he reached the heights as far as fire that JC hit with some of his stuff, but I think his originality was a lot better. I think Drugz had a lot less crutch bars in there, so to speak. So now we're left with the dilemma: who do I have winning? Again, just based off of gut instinct, gut reaction, how I felt after watching the battle. And again, there's still maybe a little of going second bias, but again, I try to watch it to filter that out, specifically. But I still kind of feel like JC took it. Again, just because where he went with his like punches and haymakers that hit were just a cut above the ones that Drugz had that hit to me personally, and I feel like JC had a few more of them, and it made up for the dip in some of the other bars. That's just how I felt about it. Again, I'm not married to that opinion. I'm not waving no flags or claiming no land over it. That was just my opinion of the battle. Definitely open to talk about it though. One interesting thing I will say though, and that's how I felt. But if you look at the crowd reactions, Drugz has JC doubled, like more than doubled in smack buttons. Now, that could be a bunch of bull. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he got his people over DC trolling and just tapping that mug. But if not, then that means there's a lot of people out there who disagree with me. So, which is good. Discussion is good. That's how we learn and grow and all that good stuff. So, if you're one of the people that felt like Drugz dusted Jay and doubled him in efficiency, holler at me, hit me up in the comments. Let's talk about it. I'm just curious your opinion, what led you to that decision, so forth. But I will say this, in the chat while the battle was going on, once it was over, it was like overwhelmingly in JC's favor. The comments were. Everybody was like, yo, nah, JC just took that. That's crazy. So many comments of JC 30 Drugz in a one-round battle. So many. But the reaction votes don't reflect that. So very interesting, I think. How did you feel? Were you conflicted as well? How do y'all feel about people winning the reaction battle, so to speak, but after you watch the battle, you feel like the other dude won? Have y'all ever had that happen where while you're watching the battle, I watch it in the landscape mode, so I can't see the votes that are tallying up. I just hit the button when it's a bar that I like, and then when it's over, I turn in portrait mode and then view to see what the actual the numbers are. Have you ever been surprised when you flipped it around, like you were like, okay, I got so and so in this battle clearly. Then you look at your votes and you have the other guy with more votes. That's just so weird to me. But it's very interesting. What causes that, you think? And if that's ever happened to you, what conclusions did you come to as far as why that was that disparity in your final opinion? Just very curious as well, how you guys feel about that, because that's happened to me before, and I think it kind of applies to the JC Drugz battle. So, yeah, at the end they had the little interview, which was cool. Smack saluted him, and as he does with all of them, he explores the possibility of continuing the battle, doing 3 rounds once all the craziness is over. I would definitely be very interested in seeing this. If you had told me this beforehand, like Drugz and JC, I would have said no if you asked me before the Drugz DNA battle. Once I saw that, I was like, okay, because Drugz has all the potential in the world. We all know that. But it's just about achieving it. And I feel like he did a lot better of, using his potential in more reality during the DNA battle. And it was like, okay, he can actually do this. Now, after seeing that, when I saw that JC and Drugz were battling, I was like, okay, he might have a chance, And he did very well. He did very well. So I'll be very interested to see a 3-round battle of this. I'm in for it. I'm all the way there for it. Every quarantine battle so far, like I'm there for it. They've all been crazy. So salute to Smack. Salute to JC and Drugz. Again, that 2-day prep thing is crazy. Y'all performed flawlessly. Nothing but respect. Yeah, man. I hope everybody's being safe out there in their quarantine stuff. It was kind of funny at the end of the interview. Smack was asking him how everything was going. He was talking about how crazy it is in New York, because that's kind of ground zero, no pun intended, for some of the craziness going on here in America. And he was saying he was scared to take out the garbage. Like it's crazy out there, and I can't imagine. So, man, salute to everybody in New York, man. Y'all hold it down. Y'all keep your heads up. Stay safe. Sanitize, wash, social distance, all that good stuff. We just trying to stay safe over here, man. Like, I've been in the crib, bro. Like, my job actually had 2 confirmed cases of coronavirus at the building, bro, and they haven't shut the building down yet. It's very strange. So, I've been doing what I got to do to stay safe and be at the crib. I got a kid with respiratory issues, so that's not something I'm playing with. But that's neither here nor there. I hope everybody is safe and healthy and having a beautiful quarantine time. I hope that you don't hate your family or roommates, a girl, or your husband, or your parents, your kid. I hope everybody loving each other and y'all good to go. Yeah, man, hit me up in the comments. Let me know who you thought won, if you want to see his battle. And let's talk about that, the votes versus